Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video, I am going to talk about the subject of aliens, the ancient alien theory, or as Lloyd Pye called it, the intervention theory, and also to elaborate more on what I had talked about in a previous video of I had pictures of the back of my neck and so forth that I had showed the army, and in this I am going to show you. Now, this is the first picture that I had taken after about a year of I had this circular hole at the back of my neck and I was wanting to be, all right, what the fuck is this? I almost discarded this picture when I first took it because there was this area that I didn't understand. It was this red spot. But I had the thought before deleting it of invert the colors. And as soon as I did that, I freaked. Because the face that is seen is, to me, it was undeniable. It just kind of jumped out at me. And that is something that the two are side by side. The only difference is the colors are inverted. Now, do I have an explanation for this? No, I don't. I was freaked out by it, and I recognize this isn't concrete evidence because it is subjective. But one of the things that a friend that was religious had pointed out is to the right of the face, of all things, there are 3 6s. And I was like, what the fuck? Am I omen now? It's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And this is something that back when I was in the Army, it was a big part of what was driving my, to use the term, interest in the subject of aliens. But I had also, when I got out of the Army, I did two interviews actually with Lloyd Pye's assistant, Amy Vickers, on the subject of the Star Child skull. And it was something that I found it very interesting. But with those videos, I noticed there was a lot of hostility from those that would take the atheist position but even though atheism has nothing to do with this issue, it's also the quote-unquote skeptics, and I can understand being skeptical. But what I can't understand is what I would term irrational skepticism, bordering on the almost religious type of reaction. Because the religious have their own way of looking at things like this. And frankly, it does bring in the idea of, could the gods of antiquity have really been aliens? The problem I have with this idea is that it really brings in, it's no different saying we don't know so God or we don't know so aliens. Either way, it's an argument from ignorance. But because I did like and enjoyed the series on the History Channel called Ancient Aliens, because a lot of what they talked about were things that I had already found myself, and that for me it was confirming what my conclusions had been. The problem with those programs is the bias of them. And this meme is perfect for it. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. This gets at the heart of the problem I ultimately had with the alien idea. That being, it is the same argument from ignorance that the religious use with their circular reasoning. And it's an argument from ignorance and circular reasoning. That was the problem that ultimately caused me to take a more skeptical of, I don't believe it, where's the actual evidence? Because it's not enough to say that, even with like the subject of the skull itself with the Star Child, because that was something that I had found very interesting. And the interviews that I did with Lloyd Pye's assistant, Amy Vickers, I found them fascinating. And it was a subject that it intrigued me. But it's not one that I felt was threatening in any way, but only an interesting notion. Because the truth of the matter is, there are various types of skulls that have been shown, and we have pictures of them, as you see. The problem I have is, are some of these actual alien skulls, or are they all human skulls that are deformed, that are dealing with different biological deformities? There's no way to know with just like a picture and so forth. And it would take actual evidence, because I know there's, like with the some, there were bands that would be put on the head to cause the head to take a different shape. Now, why people would do that, I don't freaking know. But that gets back to the idea of, could the gods of antiquity have been aliens? Now, it's an interesting idea that is something that I don't think we can totally rule out. I think it would be far, if those characters are anything other than fiction, if there is a basis for any of it, then it is logical to conclude that aliens is a far more logical explanation than a magical deity. However, without actual evidence, it's still an argument from ignorance as well as circular reasoning. Because the other thing to address with the aspect of aliens, because there are some, and one of my subscribers had mentioned it in the comments section of another video, of how Christians are saying that this rapture is going to happen this year type of thing. They've said that every year. That this is nothing new. But for those that believe this rapture bullshit and all of that, I really just want all of you to get a clear picture in your head of what it is you are actually talking about. You're not really talking about some magical, you're going to be whisked away to Never Never Land type of idea in a spiritual sense, because frankly, it is none of you can really say what a spiritual sense would be. The actual, what you would be talking about, let's just be clear, is a UFO abduction, an alien abduction. And it would be an en masse. Now, I've seen Christians make videos on how aliens are demons. Well, there's no evidence that demons exist. There's also no evidence that aliens actually exist, although if the picture that you're seeing now would be legitimate, One, I would say the fucker has to eat a sandwich, good God. But the idea of something being a spiritual type of thing, it doesn't fit. But I don't understand the hostile reaction that comes from atheists to skeptics, because I can look or listen to a subject like this and look at the different claims and so forth and not get upset or even miffed. Which I can't really say with Christian claims, because with theirs, there's always the underlining bullshit of what'll happen if you don't believe. Well, without actual evidence that your claims are true, your threats are meaningless, and the aspect of going around threatening people, yeah, that does kind of tend to bother me. But what is also mentioned with the alien abduction thing that people do tend to get a bit of a chuckle out of is the aspect of the experimentation and so forth. And one of the things, I found this picture and I figured I'd include it, the idea of the breeding with an alien. Well, I seriously doubt it would be in that nature, but it is what it is type of thing. And it's something that the subject and the idea of it doesn't exactly bother me. It's just I don't see it as viable. Because one of the things that was mentioned to me is if there would be like aliens and so other life in the universe besides us, basically why wouldn't it have had contact with us? One of the things that has come to my mind is maybe it has. And that's where the idea of maybe the religions that we have are the remnant of these people interacting with very primitive humans, and then maybe not with the intention of creating a religion, maybe with the intention of just, okay, we're going to try to help them. Because frankly, if an alien race would exist and would want or would have wanted to take us over or conquer us, why the fuck wouldn't they have done it by now? What would have stopped them? Seriously, what defense could we have given? Now we can at least try to mount some kind of a defense with nuclear weapons and so forth. But the idea of just because we're here and because there is this idea that like aliens or demons or whatnot, the idea that they would be hostile to us, it simply doesn't fit. Because if they would be, what would have stopped them from having wiped us out already? And the fact that they didn't, to me, would point to they don't have an interest in doing so. Now, personally, I don't know. But maybe if they have been here, maybe they reached the conclusion of these people are fucking crazy. Because truth be told, people can be fucking nuts. And maybe they realized that they were having a harmful effect, a harmful impact on us, and decided for their best interest and ours, one of, you know what, let's leave these people alone. Or maybe they looked at things like the Inquisitions and thought, oh shit, look what the fuck we did. Or this is the result of us trying to help these people. They don't need our help. They need to mature on their own. I don't know. But without definitive evidence that such exists, I think it is irrational to say that something definitely does exist, or that we have to change our, to use the term, belief system, because I don't think we should. I don't feel that we should buy into something without evidence for it. But by the same token, I think we need to be a bit more open to hearing an idea and pointing out the logical fallacies in an idea, but not being overly hostile to the idea of it. Because the idea itself is no threat. Even if, in order for there to be a threat attached to the idea of it, there has to be evidence. Without the evidence for an alien or a god, the claims aren't anything. Now, I find it interesting that we have all of these claims for alien abductions and so forth, and I see them as no different than near-death experience claims, as well as Bigfoot claims and other claims. Any claim that cannot be supported with evidence is a meaningless claim, and it should be regarded as bullshit. It's a bullshit claim, even when it is something like the back of my neck. To say that that proves aliens, no, it doesn't. It doesn't prove anything of the kind. Because that would be on par with acting like that, and that is acting religious. And that is why I decided basically to drop the idea of ancient alien theory and so forth, because of how religious I would come across. And I didn't want that. But I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this. And once again, for those that are wanting to see the back of my neck type of thing, there it is, the inverted. I don't know. I can't explain it. But it's something that if you can give me an explanation, I'd love to hear it. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Later, people.